You know that feeling when you like open your inbox on a Monday morning and it is just instantly flooded?
Oh, yeah. Completely overwhelming.
Right. You've got, I don't know, 5 different newsletters screaming at you about the top 10 AI tools you absolutely need to survive.
Yeah. And then another half dozen consulting firms throwing around, completely empty jargon.
Exactly. They're telling you to synergize your generative workflows or whatever. It's a lot.
It really is.
And you're left trying to figure out what is actual structural business advice and what is just someone trying to sell you a subscription to, like a PDF summarizer.
It is an absolute avalanche of noise right now. I mean, we are living through this era of just complete information overload when it comes to artificial intelligence.
Oh, for sure.
Suddenly, everyone with a keyboard is an AI strategist, right? But finding actionable, substantive advice on how to actually implement these systems at an enterprise scale, it feels harder than ever.
Yeah, business leaders are really struggling to separate the commercial hype from the actual underlying technical value. Which brings us to our focus for today's deep dive. We are skipping all that surface-level noise entirely. We're looking at a source that offers a starkly different approach to the whole AI conversation.
And it's a really fascinating one, too.
It is. We're diving into a May 14, 2026 newsletter post published by a consulting practice based in Singapore called EntropyBI. And the post is provocatively titled, "Why We Are the Curies of BI and AI."
Yeah, and right away, a title like that, I mean, it signals that we aren't dealing with your standard corporate slide deck operation.
Definitely not.
They are setting a very specific historical expectation for how they operate.
They really are. So our mission today is to explore how this unique husband-wife team claims to combine this gritty hands-on engineering with really sharp business intelligence.
Right.
Because they use that combination to create a comprehensive framework for AI adoption.
Yep.
We're going to unpack how they advise enterprise decision makers, how they evaluate the investment logic of this whole ecosystem,
Right.
and what their core framework actually looks like for adopting AI agents in a corporate environment. Exactly. That's the meat of it.
The foundational claim that makes this source so worth our time, I think, is their 10-year track record.
Yeah, 10 years is huge.
It is an eternity in tech. They explicitly outline a decade spent moving from the physical reality of the factory floor all the way to the high-level strategy of capital markets.
Right, so it's not just theory.
No, not at all. In the fast-paced, hype-driven world we're in, this implies a battle-tested approach. It's been refined through actual market friction.
But, to understand the mechanics of how they consult, we first have to look at the specific dynamic of their partnership.
Right, who they actually are.
Yeah, and they describe this through 2 highly specific literary and historical analogies. First, for readers who might be familiar with Chinese martial arts literature, they compare themselves to the legendary couple Guo Jing and Huang Rong from Jin Young's novels.
It's a very revealing comparison, actually.
How so?
Well, in those stories, Guo Jing is sort of the archetype of steady, relentless, grounded execution. He isn't flashy at all, but his foundation is just unbreakable.
Okay, I see.
And Huang Rong, conversely, she is the lightning-fast strategist, incredibly sharp, totally adaptable, very resourceful.
That makes a lot of sense. And the authors also bring up the Wumu Codex, right? Which was the legendary Song Dynasty general Yu Fei's field manual.
Right, yeah.
In the novels, that manual is the tactical secret behind their success. Now, the authors of our source humbly wave this off. They say, we're not that impressive.
Sure, standard humility.
Right. But when you look at a decade of building tech companies from the ground up, those hard lessons essentially become a modern enterprise field manual. It's a distilled record of what actually survives contact with the market.
Absolutely.
But if the martial arts reference doesn't quite land for you, they lean into a second analogy, which is Pierre and Marie Curie.
Which is where their methodology really crystallizes, I think.
Yeah, unpack that Curie dynamic for us.
So if we look at the historical dynamic of the Curies, Pierre represents the methodical, precise, just uncompromising commitment to the physical work itself, the raw science.
The guy in the lab.
Exactly. And Marie represents the visionary translation of that work.
Oh, wow.
She was capable of taking that pure, raw discovery and translating it into a framework that the broader scientific community and really the world could actually understand and apply.
The source actually has this one line that stood out to me. It says, "Together they found radium, not him, not her, them."
And that right there highlights a massive structural blind spot in modern enterprise AI consulting.
What do you mean?
In this field, Isolated brilliance fails all the time. Like, you can hire the most brilliant machine learning engineer on Earth,
Right.
but if they cannot articulate the business value of their model to a skeptical board of directors, what happens?
The project gets its funding cut.
Exactly. It's dead in the water.
Hmm.
Conversely, you can have a brilliant, highly charismatic business strategist, but if they don't fundamentally grasp the latency issues or the data architecture required to actually run the model,
They end up selling the enterprise a complete fantasy.
yes. The argument here is that the chemistry between raw technical execution and strategic business translation is what actually creates viable AI adoption.
Okay, so it's one thing to have complementary skill sets on paper, but, I mean, the corporate graveyard is full of smart people who couldn't execute together.
Oh, definitely.
So does this Pierre and Marie dynamic actually hold up when we look at their distinct backgrounds? Let's look at the husband first, the Pierre of the operation.
The source is very deliberate in qualifying his background, actually. He is an engineer, but specifically, he is not the kind of engineer who builds presentation decks.
Right, he's not doing the road shows.
No.
He is the midnight debugging, hardware in hand type of engineer. The source notes he physically assembles AIoT, that's artificial intelligence of things modules, piece by piece.
Right.
And he has spent over a decade in AOI, which stands for Automated Optical Inspection.
And we really need to pause on why that matters for AI consulting today.
Yeah, for you listening, if you aren't familiar with manufacturing tech, AOI is the technology used on assembly lines, where high-speed cameras and algorithms autonomously scan products for microscopic defects.
And the key thing here is that AOI is an environment with absolute zero tolerance for hallucination.
Right.
I mean, if a generative AI writes a slightly weird email for your marketing campaign, it's a joke. You laugh about it.
You tweak the prompt and move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if an AOI system on a factory floor hallucinates or misjudges a defect, an entire production line halts.
Wow.
Yeah, it costs millions of dollars, or worse, dangerous products shipped to consumers. It is high-stakes, hyper-precise work.
The source also points out that he built a modular AIoT industrial cloud platform for factory automation long before NVIDIA started heavily marketing AI marketplaces for manufacturing.
Which proves they're foundational builders, not trend chasers. He understands how code physically interacts with machinery and real-world physics.
And then we have the wife, the Marie of the team. While he is dealing with circuit boards and optical sensors and zero-tolerance algorithms, she operates in a completely different sphere.
Right, the translation side.
Yeah, she works across AIGC, AI-generated content, business intelligence, and overarching corporate AI strategy. She's the translator.
She takes those incredibly complex, unforgiving technical realities and translates them into actionable business logic.
Making it make sense for the money guys.
Precisely. For enterprise clients and investors, she bridges the gap between the factory floor and the boardroom.
It kind of reminds me of city planning.
How so?
Imagine you are a mayor trying to upgrade your city's infrastructure. You have two choices for a consultant. One has spent their entire career playing SimCity.
Oh, okay, I like this.
Right. They know all the high-level theories of where the zones should go and how it should look in a polished presentation. But the other option is a master plumber and an electrical engineer who actually understand the physical limitations of the pipes and the grid under the streets.
Paired with a zoning expert who knows how to fund it.
Yes. You want the team that has laid the actual plumbing, not the one relying on the simulation.
That is a perfect way to look at it. It mitigates enterprise risk because the strategic advice is fundamentally tethered to ground truth operational reality.
But let's be incredibly cynical for a second here.
Okay, let's do it.
Because it is remarkably easy to put up a flashy website claiming you bridge the gap between deep tech and business strategy.
Oh, anyone can do that.
Right. So where's the empirical proof? Well, before they set up EntropyBI in Singapore, they built a series of ventures together in Taiwan under a company called UZ Digital.
And the portfolio they built there is quite dense.
It is a really wide spectrum of technological application. Let me just list some of these projects out because this is where I start to have some serious questions.
Let's hear them.
Under UZ Digital, they built AIGC-driven marketing tools. They created the Qualia Tagging API, which the source describes as using generative AI to embed sensory and emotional values to drive e-commerce. They built an AI-powered affiliate commerce platform called funpen.com. They launched carbcoin.io, which is a decentralized green energy carbon platform.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, she authored a DAO-based, fragmented intellectual property revenue-sharing framework.
It is a very aggressive, multidisciplinary list.
And this is where I really need to push back. Look at that list again. AIGC marketing, APIs dealing with emotional tagging, affiliate commerce, decentralized green energy carbon coins, and Web3 DAO frameworks for IP.
It sounds like a lot.
It sounds like shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
If I'm an enterprise CEO evaluating an AI consultant, my immediate red flag goes up. Are these people just chasing the flavor of the month?
That's a fair question.
I mean, they jump from crypto to Web3 to generative AI. How does building a decentralized carbon token or a DAO actually help a manufacturing company deploy a large language model today? Doesn't this imply a severe lack of focus?
That is exactly the kind of critical pushback a smart enterprise leader should bring to the table. On the surface, it absolutely looks like shiny object syndrome. But if we dig into the actual mechanics of what those projects require to function, a totally different picture emerges.
Okay, convince me.
Let's take the DAO framework or carbcoin.io as an example.
All right, let's look under the hood.
What does it actually take to build a decentralized token platform or a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO?
A lot of coding.
Sure, but you are not just writing a simple smart contract. You have to align complex, decentralized data architectures. You have to manage network latency across distributed nodes.
Okay, that's fair.
You have to structure mathematical incentive models to ensure different independent actors in a network behave predictably.
Right, you are building a system where independent entities have to communicate, share data securely, and execute transactions without a centralized boss watching every single move.
Exactly. Now, bring that back to what enterprises are trying to do with AI today.
Okay.
The cutting edge of enterprise AI isn't just asking a chatbot to write a polite email. It is deploying multi-agent AI systems.
Right, where you have multiple bots doing different things.
Yes, where one AI agent handles supply chain data, another handles customer service, and another manages financial forecasting.
Oh, wow.
And these agents have to communicate, negotiate, and execute tasks across a distributed corporate network.
Oh, I see exactly where you're going with this. A multi-agent AI system is fundamentally a decentralized network of autonomous actors making decisions.
Precisely. Because they spent years building DAOs and decentralized tokens, they understand the underlying physics of distributed data architecture and network incentives at a granular level.
That's fascinating.
They understand data pipelines. They understand how to structure permission systems. So when an enterprise wants to deploy a fleet of AI agents, EntropyBI understands exactly how those agents will interact, access data, and consume compute power across the company's existing silos.
So their experience in Web3 isn't a distraction at all. It's actually the exact architectural blueprint needed for the next generation of enterprise AI. By getting their hands dirty across the full stack, from APIs to decentralized databases, they have built an intuition for what technology is actually viable.
Yes, they can look at a shiny new AI vendor and immediately identify if the underlying architecture is solid or if it's just, a flimsy commercial wrapper around an open source model.
That broad, multidisciplinary friction is basically their competitive moat.
Yes. They aren't distracted by the marketing hype because they know the actual mechanics required to make the code execute reliably in the real world.
Okay, that totally addresses my skepticism about their track record.
Yeah.
That firmly establishes their foundational expertise.
Good.
But how does this translate into their current offering? They have moved their operations to Singapore and are running EntropyBI. The newsletter explicitly states they operate as a hands-on AI agent consulting practice for enterprise transformation.
And they draw a very hard, very necessary line in the sand regarding what they actually do.
Right. They specifically state, not AI tool roundups, that content is everywhere.
Which is so refreshing.
They are refusing to play the game of telling you which 10 Chrome extensions will save you an hour a week. Instead, they focus on deep frameworks.
Right.
The source mentions evaluating AI agent adoption, restructuring business intelligence architecture, and handling AIoT integration.
Huh.
But what does that framework actually look like in practice? How do they advise a decision maker?
This is really the crux of their value proposition. The way most companies currently approach AI is by treating it as just another software layer.
Like buying a Microsoft Office license.
Exactly. They buy a subscription to an enterprise LLM, they hand out logins to their employees, and they expect productivity to instantly double overnight.
Which never happens.
No, it doesn't. But EntropyBI treats AI as an infrastructural layer, which requires a completely different framework.
What's the difference between a software layer and an infrastructural layer in this context?
Well, if it's just software, it operates in isolation, right? You ask it a question, it answers. But for an AI agent to genuinely transform a business, it needs to be integrated directly into the company's business intelligence, the BI architecture.
Right.
The agent needs secure, real-time access to the company's proprietary data, historical sales records, real-time inventory levels, supply chain bottlenecks, customer CRM data.
And let's be honest, that data is usually a complete mess.
Oh, it's a disaster in most companies.
It's siloed in different departments, sitting in outdated legacy servers, or formatted inconsistently.
Exactly. So if you plug a highly advanced AI agent into a messy, unstructured BI architecture, the AI will confidently hallucinate terrible business decisions based on bad data.
It's just garbage in, garbage out, but at light speed.
Precisely. This is where the EntropyBI framework comes in. Before they ever advise you on which AI model to adopt, they audit and restructure your data pipeline.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they evaluate your existing BI architecture to see if it can even support an autonomous agent in the first place.
And if you are in logistics, manufacturing, or retail, I imagine it gets even more complex because you have to factor in the physical world, the AIoT integration.
Right. The peer side of the dynamic comes back into play.
Right.
Because if you want an AI agent to automatically reorder raw materials when stock is low, that agent needs to reliably communicate with the actual physical sensors in your warehouse.
That makes total sense.
EntropyBI's framework assesses the investment logic of all these moving parts. They look at the total cost of restructuring your data, integrating the hardware sensors, and deploying the AI.
And then they tell the enterprise whether the return on investment actually justifies the hype.
Yes. They are essentially risk profiling the enterprise's entire digital foundation before letting the AI loose.
That makes so much more sense than just buying a tool and hoping for the best.
Does it?
And what's really interesting is that they are so confident in this methodology that they invite enterprise leaders to test it out. The newsletter mentions they offer a complimentary first consultation where decision makers can book a 30-minute call or submit a brief to have their AI investment logic evaluated.
It forces the enterprise leader to stop asking, what AI tool should I buy, and start asking, is my corporate infrastructure actually prepared to host an autonomous system?
Right.
And you cannot answer that question with just a business strategist.
Yes.
And you cannot answer it with just a machine learning coder. You absolutely need both.
You need the engineer's uncompromising grasp of the plumbing and the strategist's overarching vision for the city.
A Curies.
The Curies, exactly. You need that combined dynamic to navigate the transition. So let's synthesize what we've unpacked today from this EntropyBI newsletter.
Let's do it.
We started with a source that aims to cut entirely through the superficial noise of the current AI hype cycle. We looked at a highly unique husband and wife consulting practice operating out of Singapore that leverages a grueling 10-year track record.
A track record that spans the unforgiving, zero-hallucination reality of factory floor automated inspection all the way to the complex incentive structures of decentralized Web3 frameworks and AIGC.
Right, and they use that foundational cross-disciplinary experience to offer enterprise leaders deeply grounded AI investment advice.
They separate commercial fluff from actual technical value by auditing a company's underlying BI architecture and AIoT readiness, rather than just recommending off-the-shelf software.
Yeah, they combine the midnight debugging grit of an engineer with the boardroom-ready translation skills of a strategist.
Which is exactly what allows them to offer actual structural frameworks for AI agent adoption. It's a really sobering reminder that integrating artificial intelligence into a massive corporation is fundamentally an infrastructural challenge, not just a software subscription.
It really shifts the perspective on how an executive should evaluate the experts they bring into their own business. You don't just need someone who knows the latest models. You need someone who knows how those models will break when they hit your legacy databases.
It really does. And, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as you navigate this space.
Okay, what is it?
Something that builds on this idea of the Guojing and Huangrong dynamic, or the Curie dynamic. We are currently living in an era where every single company on Earth and every nation state is scrambling to acquire artificial intelligence capabilities.
Oh, it's an absolute arms race.
They are spending billions buying up compute power, they are licensing massive proprietary models, and they are hoarding every scrap of data they can find.
Everyone is racing to buy the smartest artificial brain.
Exactly. But perhaps the ultimate competitive advantage in the next 10 years won't actually be the AI itself.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because eventually the models will commoditize. Soon, every enterprise will have access to roughly the same tier of generative intelligence, the same reasoning capabilities, and the same cloud compute.
So if the intelligence itself becomes a commodity, what's the differentiator? What actually separates the winners from the losers?
Maybe the true bottleneck to the future isn't a lack of computing power or a lack of advanced algorithms. Maybe the real bottleneck is a lack of human chemistry.
Oh, wow.
When everyone has the exact same AI tools, the rare, completely irreplaceable advantage will be finding the Curies within your own organization. The teams that possess that perfect, unreplicable friction between raw, uncompromising technical execution and visionary human translation.
Because at the end of the day, cold algorithms and infinite compute power only matter if you have the human chemistry necessary to translate them into tangible commercial progress.
Exactly.
That is a phenomenal point. The technology is just the raw material. The human dynamic is what actually refines it into something valuable.
Couldn't have said it better.
So when you open your flooded inbox tomorrow morning and see another 100 people trying to aggressively sell you the next big AI tool, remember that the tool is just a gadget. The real transformation requires the master architects who understand both the plumbing in the walls and the vision for the entire city. Keep looking for that chemistry in your own teams. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into EntropyBI's framework. We'll catch you next time.